Ted Williams following the protest part of this, because, Ted, there are laws against this sort of thing, but protesters keep breaking them. What's going on?
Yeah, you know, as you say, Neil, there are absolutely laws against protesting in front of the homes of judicial officers. As a matter of fact, the U.S. Code, Title 18, Section 1507, addresses the fact that if you're protesting in front of a Supreme Court justice or a judicial officer's home in an effort to influence that justice or that judicial officer, that in and of itself is prohibited.
So, Ted, the fact that the protests go on, I guess the Attorney General, Merrick Garland, could stop it if he wanted to. He's not. I thought at the beginning, until you taught me otherwise, that local police in and of themselves cannot. So if this is falling between the cracks, I mean, I just worry, forget about the justices and their kids and their homes, but even the neighbors and how they feel. You know, normally you brag about, yeah, I got a Supreme Court justice lives next door, down the street. I don't know if they're saying that right now.
Well, what the local police or law enforcement is actually saying is, as long as these protesters are not stationary, as long as they are moving, they're going to allow them to protest. I do believe that at some stage, the Justice Department perhaps is going to have to step in to protect these Supreme Court justices. But I got to tell you, Neil, all of these federal judges are under a microscope of harm. A good example would be some years ago in Chicago, we had a judge out there whose husband and mother was killed by someone. Just recently in New Jersey, we had another judge whose son answered her front door and he was killed. And most recently in Wisconsin, we had a former judge who was tied up, bound, and killed, all because they were doing their duties as judicial officers.
You know, you mentioned the key feature here is that the protesters still have to keep moving. But when I'd studied a lot of the video, they move all right, but they move back and forth. So in other words, they're going north in front of a house, they go down the street a little bit, then they turn around. So they're going back and forth, but they're kind of staying in the neighborhood. They're not wandering away. Doesn't that violate that order?
Well, it definitely, I would have to say, violates the spirit of the order. But as you know, Neil, and I know that protesters have a First Amendment right to protest, but they do not have a right to interfere with neighbors or even the justices as they are moving about. You know, Neil, you and I walk around every day, and there are times that individuals will come up to want to shake my hand or your hand, and the first thing I'm concerned about is why they're coming up. Are they coming up to harm me? Or are they coming up to compliment me? I've seen on many occasions where individuals have come up and they've cursed me out just for being associated with Fox News. Or there are people out here who actually want to harm these justices. We know of a guy who came from California most recently, to Justice Kavanaugh's home, and he's now charged with attempted murder of Judge Kavanaugh by virtue of the equipment, the gun, and other matters that he brought to that venue, to that location.
Yeah.
It's a very difficult time here in this country, Neil.
Yeah, that's putting it mildly, my friend. Ted Williams, I think we're all got to bring it down a notch or two, right? To, you know, obviously state our differences, protests maybe outside public institutions, not private homes, everyone. Bring it down a notch. We'll have more after this.
Absolutely.